Welcome back, everybody. My name is Gnome, bringing you yet another Mortal Kombat X tutorial. This tutorial is going to be teaching you how to use Kotal Kahn's Brutalities. So without any further ado, if you would like to see a specific brutality, feel free to hop on down to the description below where you will find timestamps to help you get to each one. Otherwise, if you are interested in seeing all of Kotal Kahn's Brutalities, then stick along with me. I'm going to be starting with the Blood God variation, and we'll see you there. Alright guys, so first up we have the Kotally Awesome Brutality. Now, in order to perform this brutality, you can be in any one of Kotal Kahn's variations. Now what's key to doing this is you're going to need to be in sweep distance away from your opponent when you go to perform this brutality, and you want your final hit to come from either a Sunbeam or the enhanced version known as the God Ray. So as usual, I'll provide you with an example. This is a pretty easy brutality. None of you should have too much trouble pulling it off, as there are no heavy requirements to this one other than positioning when you go to pull off this final move. So I'm going to say we're in about sweep distance already, and really I think it's safe to say we can go for the brutality, and that is going to be down forward B or down forward circle on the PlayStation. And if you want to enhance it, that is optional, of course, with the right trigger or the R2 button. So let's go for the enhanced version and let's have at it. There we have it. Very easy brutality. This one does chip damage. The sunlight ability does do chip damage, so you may have to time this a little bit. Otherwise, if you get your opponent in the corner and keep them there while they're burning away, you actually might not have too much trouble with this one. But again, keep in mind you need to be in sweep distance to get this to work. On to the next one. Alright guys, so next up we have the Stick Around Brutality. Now, in order to perform this brutality, you can be in any one of Kotal Kahn's variations. Now what's key to doing this is you're going to need to hit your opponent with at least 5 Sunstones during the match, which is, of course is round 1 or 2. And then you want to be at jump distance when you go to finish off your opponent, and yet again use another Sunstone for the final hit. So make sure, once again, that you hit at least 5 times with Sunstones previous to going for your final hit, and then make sure you are at a jump distance to perform this. As usual, I will provide you with an example. Now, to do a general Sunstone, it is down forward A, or down forward X on the PlayStation, like so. Simple enough. So I've already done a couple of them, building up to this match, so we shouldn't have any problem. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. I actually did 2 more before this, but you will need at least 5 Sunstones to hit. But it's a nice little brutality. Unique in the projectile, as I've not seen projectiles like that with anyone else, and it does fit Kotal Kahn's style, so it does make sense. But there you have it. Just keep in mind, you're going to need to be at a jumping distance and hit them with 5 Sunstones before you go for the final hit from yet another Sunstone. On to the next one. Alright guys, so next up we have the Offering Brutality. Now, in order to perform this brutality, you can be in any one of Kotal Kahn's variations. Now, this brutality varies from every other brutality in the game in that instead of performing this brutality on your opponent, you use it on yourself, and it is more of a form of honorable suicide or a way to deny your opponent the ability to use a fatality or brutality on you if you would rather take the easy way out and know you're going to lose. It's basically a smooth way of pulling a little bit of victory to your own side, even though you're going to lose anyways. Now, to do this, your opponent needs to have at least 50% or more of their health remaining. So they need to have at least half of their health left, not depleted. And then you're going to sacrifice yourself with the Blood Offering to end the round. And of course, the Blood Offering is the move where he cuts himself in return for some ability at the cost of health. And as you would expect, your final hit needs to come from the Blood Offering, and this is to be used on yourself. Now, I'm going to provide you with an example because this one may be a little confusing. Not too much, but just a tiny bit. Now, as you can see, what differs from most tutorials that I do is rather than us being on the second round, Sub-Zero is on the second round. Now, he has won already. He more than easily has more than 50% of his health. So let's do the Blood Offering first to show you what that looks like. And that is forward, down, back, B, or forward, down, back, circle. And it should look something like this. Simple enough. And as you can see, his blade will drip with blood and turn red if it has worked correctly. Now, we're just going to go ahead and beat him up a little so we can get rid of that buff. And there we have it. So now, let's just get our health low enough. That's really all there is to it in this case. I apologize, I probably should have lowered my health a little bit more, but I wanted to demonstrate the Blood Offering without killing myself. So here we have it, my friends. Sub-Zero has more than 50% of his health. He has won at least 1 round, and we are in the perfect amount of health to commit this brutality or harakiri, if you would prefer to call it that. So let's go. Here we have it, the Blood Offering. That's really all there is to it. It's nothing too visually special, but it's a brutality nonetheless. It's actually really cool. I wish every character had a form of suicide like this, just because it does deny your opponent the ability to perform a fatality or a brutality on you. And it's kind of a way of saying, ha, I still have a little bit of skill even though you did win. So, without any further ado, let's move on to our next one. Alright guys, so next up we have the Totem this Brutality. Now in order to perform this brutality, you need to be in Kotal Kahn's Blood God variation. Now what's key to doing this is you're going to need to summon at least one of each totem during the 2 rounds that you play in, which of course is the Crystal Totem, the Blood Totem, and the Obsidian Totem. Now, you're going to want to make sure you have at least 30 seconds or less on the clock. So this is definitely one of the brutalities that's going to be a little bit harder to pull off just for time's sake, not even difficulty necessarily, just because I don't see a lot of rounds going 30 seconds or less, unless 2 people are either dodging each other way too much or jumping around and actually trying to get this brutality, but otherwise you probably won't see this one too frequently. Now, when you do go to perform this brutality, you want to make sure you have a Crystal Totem active. Without that active, you will not get this brutality to work properly. And then you want your final hit to come from a 2-fist uppercut, which is just a general uppercut he just happens to use 2 fists for. So as usual, I'll provide you with an example. Here we go. Now, you're going to want to start with your Crystal Totem, of course, which is down back X or down back square. Simple as that. And from there, we can't really do much about the totems. You can only summon one at a time, so we'll just have to patiently wait. There we go. So Obsidian Totem is up next, which is down back Y or down back triangle. And there we have it. Let's lower opponent while we're at it, while we're waiting for those crystals to finish. Yeah, I think that'll do us plenty. Okay, and last, our Blood Totem, which is down back A or down back X on the PlayStation. And there we have it. So as mentioned, you're going to want your Crystal Totem active when you go for this brutality, which again is crouching and then the Y button to do an uppercut, or triangle if you're on the PlayStation. But here we go. Let's get our Crystal Totem up, and there we have it. Now our uppercut. Very nice. I like this one a lot. It's very brutal in just that Kotal Kahn is such a strong person. A lot of his brutalities so far I've really liked. I've really been impressed with them just in how either they've had a lot of strength to them or a lot of supernatural abilities to them, such as one you're going to see coming up that is definitely my favorite. On to the next one. Alright guys, so next up we have the Sawed Off Brutality. Now in order to perform this brutality, you need to be in Kotal Kahn's War God variation. Now what's key to doing this is you need to get a 3-hit combo that ends with the Saw Blade. Now this does not mean the 3rd hit needs to be from the Saw Blade. This means you need to get 3 hits, and then for a 4th hit in that same combo, you need to get the Saw Blade to attack. So, as usual, I'll provide you with an example. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to start with the Tonalt combo. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but you can see it up there on screen. And then it's back X, Y, Y. And it should look something like this. Or back square, triangle, triangle for the PlayStation. And there we have it. Simple enough. And then we're going to transition to our Saw Blade, which is down forward Y or down forward triangle on the PlayStation, and it should look like this. Simple enough. So easily enough, we're just going to put the 2 together. And there we have it. That's really all there is to it. It's not too hard to pull off. It's just a matter of practice. Some of you will definitely want to practice with it and get the timing right, especially for that Saw Blade, because if you're not quick enough with the Saw Blade, you're not going to be able to pull this off properly. But this should be a low enough health for us, and let's move on to the brutality. Here we go. And there we have it, my friends. This is a really brutal brutality. I can only imagine how much pain that saw blade would cause to your flesh, as I've seen blades with saws like that before and run my fingers across them, and even then, whew, that's a lot of pain. So Sub-Zero's not going to be getting up from this one anytime soon. That being said, on to the next one. Alright guys, so last up we have the Dry Rub Brutality. Now in order to perform this brutality, you need to be in Kotal Kahn's Sun God variation. Now this is definitely my favorite of his brutalities. In order to do this, you need at least level 3 of your Sun God choke. And I'm going to show you what this means while we're in game. It can be a little bit confusing as there's no real notification as to what level your sun is at, but as I said, I will explain this to you in game. And you need your final hit to come from a Sun God choke or the enhanced Moon God choke, which of course is just the right trigger being enacted to use one special bar. That is totally optional. You can or do not have to do it. It is up to you. Now, as usual, with an example, we're going to start with our Sun God Choke. Now, every time you use the Sun God Choke, you will enhance your Sun level up to a maximum of level 3. So now let's begin with it, and you'll notice that it gets stronger each time we use it. So that is down, back Y, or down, back triangle, and it should look like this. Simple enough. Now, as you can see, he threw him to the other side, and we are on Sun level 1. So let's use it again. And there we have it. As you can see, he threw him to the other side, but this time he punched down on their chest afterwards, which elongated the ability even further. So now we're on Sun level 2. So once more, use Sun God Choke. And there we have it. So that is the full Sun God Choke. You can only level up your Sun God Choke by using it. So you have to use it at least 3 times during the match, and do not use Soul Scorch or you will empty all of your sun out. So that's really all there is to it. At this point, we can just get our opponent low enough, and so long as you have Sun God level 3, you should have no problem pulling off this ability, which just means use your Sun God Choke at least 3 times, and when he lifts them up above their head to burn them, that's how you know you have the appropriate level. And simply from there, go and finish off your opponent with either a normal Sun God Choke or the enhanced version if you prefer. Let's go for it. My favorite. That's so awesome. I love that so much. Like, there's no brutality I've seen in this game that is so demoralizing. Not only is he carrying you above his head with such brute strength, but you're getting seared and scorched by the heat and hell of the very sun. I love this brutality. It is so cool. Definitely one of my most favorite brutalities so far in this game. Regardless of what anyone else thinks, you know, it's my opinion, of course, so you guys may differ, but for me, this is the best brutality I've seen so far. It's so cool. So that being said, thank you all very much for joining me today. Hopefully this tutorial helped you out one way or another. If it did indeed help you out, please leave me a like or a comment down below letting me know what you thought, what you might think, or what you might like to see from future content. And if you like this content in general, feel free to subscribe, because I promise you, there's plenty more coming. So without any further ado, thank you all very much for joining me for this episode, and we'll see you next time, guys. Stay safe, stay happy. That's really all there is to it, my friends. Hopefully this video helps you out one way or another. So far, many people have stated very different ways to unlock this costume, but I can promise you that my method does work. And the reason behind this is because this has been very requested for a while for me to do this video, but I have held